Good afternoon. Calling the Westport Board of Health September 19th, 2022 meeting to order. Couple of announcements under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F. This meeting is being recorded. And secondly, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we will move next into the public health presentation, our monthly presentation from Linda Pierce, the town nurse. Take it away.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Linda Pierce. I'm the public health nurse for the town of Westport. This month's subject is immunizations. Why is vaccination so important? A vaccine activates our immune system without making us sick. Many dangerous infectious diseases can be prevented by this simple and effective way. From birth, we are constantly exposed to many different viruses, bacteria, and other microbes. Most are not harmful, many are beneficial, but some can cause disease. The body's immune system helps protect us against infection. When we are exposed to infection, the immune system triggers a series of responses to neutralize the microbes and limit their harmful effects. Exposure to an infectious disease often gives us lifelong protection, immunity. So when we do not contract the same disease again, our immune system remembers the microbe. Simple and effective protection. We often develop lifelong immunity when we have had a disease. However, some diseases may lead to serious complications and sometimes death. The aim of a vaccination is to obtain this immunity without any risks of having the disease. When we vaccinate, we activate the immune system memory. During vaccination, a weakened microbe and fingerprint or something that resembles it is added to our body. The immune system then activated without us being sick. Some dangerous infectious diseases can be prevented in a simple and effective way. For some diseases, vaccination provides lifelong protection, while others' effect is diminished after a few years, and booster doses are required. Infants tolerate vaccines very well. In the womb, our immune system is already prepared to tackle various microbes that we encounter after birth. Since vaccines only use a small part of the child's immune capacity, the immune system is burdened much less than with a common infection such as a cold. Infants, therefore, tolerate vaccinations well, including and receiving several vaccinations at the same time. Herd immunity, when the majority of the population has been vaccinated against the disease, there will be a few people left to whom the infection can spread. This protects the few who have not been vaccinated. What happens in the body when we are vaccinated, during the vaccination, the body is exposed to either a weakened microbe, bacteria or virus, fragments of a microbe, or something that resembles the microbe. Immune cells and antibodies are produced that will recognize the real microbe. The immune system will provide better immune response than can prevent disease. Mom and baby, did you know baby gets immunity protection during pregnancy? This immunity can protect baby from some diseases during the first few months of life, but immunity decreases over time. Hence, the pediatrician has to administer the vaccines due to prevent disease. Routine vaccines should be deferred by persons with suspected COVID, regardless of symptoms, until the criteria have been met for them to discontinue isolation. Truth or myth? Whatever autism is, it is not a unique product of modern civilization. It is a strange gift from our deep past down through millions of years of evolution. Dr. Silverman argues that we never noticed autism until recently because affected persons with the illnesses were formerly stashed in mental institutions and misdiagnosed. So get your children and yourself vaccinated. Flu season starts in September. We have the over 65 and the regular doses for flu vaccine. If you decide you're coming to the annex, please bring your ID and insurance cards, and please call for an appointment at 508-636-1030. Please continue to vaccinate for COVID if you have not. The Westport Apothecary has boosters available. Their number is 508-636-5957. We still have free COVID tests available in my office, and we will be getting newer ones shortly. Still have free Narcan kits available. Anybody have any questions?
No.
No? Thank you,
Good news.
Linda, and thank you for doing those flu clinics as well as helping out at the vaccine
excuse
clinic
me,
on
last thing.
Friday.
My blood drive, my next blood drive is October 20th, and that's going to be at the old high school at 19 Main Road in the cafeteria from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Please go online to make your appointments.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to Director of Public Health reports, written report. Any questions on that? If not, we'll go to your verbal report.
Okay, start with a COVID update. So far in September, as of this morning at 7 a.m., there's 43 confirmed cases being reported. No hospitalizations or deaths are being reported. On Friday, we had a very successful booster and flu clinic over at the high school. We've given out roughly 254 vaccines, which I thought was a pretty good turnout for that event. Just want to say thank you to the apothecary, and these things aren't possible without their help and their involvement with all of this. So we really appreciate it. Okay. Pump reports, everything looked good. They were so the pump reports that I got ran from June to the end of August. And on those reports in various locations, I counted about approximately 20 cesspools. So they're still out there, and that was just, one small grouping of pump reports. So I suspect there's quite a few still floating around out there. John is working, and Phil are working on transcribing the septic files so we can put them into a database and we can get an accurate count on where we're at with these cesspools. Because ideally, as the 5 years starts to close in, we want to notify people and give them plenty of notice that they would need to upgrade. So hopefully sometime before the end of this calendar year, we'll have that report done.
Can I just have you backtrack? Did you report the COVID cases for the month of September publicly yet? I know you talked to John, but
I just did.
okay, I missed it, sorry.
Okay. But it was 43 for the month, yeah. There were no hospitalizations or deaths being reported. Okay, director approved plans. Get to my sheet here. We have 15 Jordan's Way for Thomas Scully on a 61,108 square foot lot. A repair, 3 bedrooms with utilizing a quick 4. It's been the Concom. We have a new construction 4-bedroom on a 60,450 square foot lot on Bluebird Lane for a Gabby Rahim using a microfast with a quick 4, and it's been Concom reviewed. We have a 3-bedroom repair on a 20,000 square foot lot on 87 Robert Street for Robert Aubin, utilizing a quick 4. This will need a deed restriction, 3-bedroom deed restriction. We have a 3-bedroom new construction on 1702C Drift Road for Robert Carrig on a 35,676 square foot lot using an Advantex and a quick 4. It's been the Concom. We have a 3-bedroom repair on a 52,272 square foot lot on 301 Robert Street for a Thomas Ferreira, utilizing a quick 4. It's been through Concom already. We have a 4-bedroom repair on a 60,606 square foot lot on 71 Forsythia Lane for a D Swift and C Cubby, utilizing a quick 4, and it's been through Concom. We have a 5-bedroom repair on a 9,900 square foot lot on 13 Hurricane Lane, utilizing a quick 4. It's been through Concom, and this will need a 5-bedroom deed restriction. And we have a 4-bedroom upgrade on a 60,397 square foot lot on 99 Cummins Lane for a Richard Gudelli, using a quick 4 in singular, and it's been through Concom. How many? There were 1, 2, 3. 3.
So I will take a motion to endorse the approvals of the 8 projects that Matt enumerated, requiring a deed restriction for 87 Robert Street, a 3-bedroom deed restriction, and a 5-bedroom deed restriction for 13 Hurricane Lane.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the projects on the director's report with those conditions. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, animal control, Nick's very busy, and he's, pretty much running all over the place, but, we're doing the best with, having one, animal control officer. When Nick is off, he notifying, the people that need to be notified that he's off, and, we do have an agreement with, Fall River that, if there's an emergency situation, they will help if they can. So, but we're,
Now, did we define what the emergency situation is going to be? Have we clearly defined that?
well, yeah, I mean, sometimes if a dog is hit by a car and needs to get to the vet, or if, and they can't find the owner, or if a dog is found and can't find the owner, has to get to the shelter, if the person who finds the dog is unable to transport it to the shelter, then we would need somebody to come transport it to the shelter.
I mean, it's vague, so if you say to somebody it's an emergency, they can define what the emergency is.
Nick has a pretty good, Nick on the webpage is updated with exactly what constitutes an emergency. And we're still in the hunt for an animal control officer.
I know we also still in the hunt for transfer station permanent qualified staff. Where do we stand? I think my understanding is that we've run out of free ads on Indeed.
Yeah, so I'm being told that both those ads can't be renewed at no charge anymore. So from Indeed, there's a charge. It's not cheap, whether it be through Indeed, Monster, or Career Builder. And Monster and Career Builder need some kind of, they need like either a credit card to reoccur the billing or charge us. I've tried getting through and emailing and calling to see if they could just send us an invoice, but nobody gets back to us. We didn't budget for it in our budget. I mean, I'd be willing to look at towards the end of the fiscal year to see if we have any money left in the budget to, foot the bill for this, but I don't know what we're gonna do in the meantime, how we're gonna get these ads up. We did, so at Forever Paws, our animal shelter I did send them the job description. They did put it on their site. I am gonna send it over to the MHOA and have them, ask them to put it on their site, so we can get it, free exposure over there on those two sites, but, as far as advertising to a wider audience, it costs money now.
Okay, well, the long term, having these vacancies is, is not ideal. And we need to see, work with the town administrator or select board office to see about getting support for being able to advertise, I think. Any other suggestions or thoughts, folks?
No, I agree. I mean, we need these positions filled, so I agree.
I mean, it doesn't, it certainly doesn't hurt to ask. I mean, some of them, it sounds like there's what's the right word? A technical problem. That is, if these sites are demanding credit cards rather than invoices, even if you have it in your budget, is that, is that in itself gonna be a problem?
Well, just the fact that we didn't budget for it, is a problem. So
Right.
whether they send us an invoice or we
Right.
put some kind of credit card up and have to pay the bill, we really didn't budget for in any of our budgets.
Right,
So
right.
I don't know what the fix is for that. Do we go and ask for money to cover it? Or, should it come out of, another budget? Like, I don't know exactly. I don't have the answer. I haven't,
Yeah.
talked to Jim, in detail about it, but I just know that our budget is gonna be hard pressed. Like, for instance,
Right.
last year with the Board of Health budget, we turned back about, $200 or $300. We didn't turn back a lot of money. So there's not a lot of extra money floating around in the Board of Health budget.
Yeah.
Okay, and the
Yeah,
issue
you
about,
send it to me, I'll post on Facebook page and the everything Westport page.
Sure, I'll send you both the job postings. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Got about 5,000 visitors, so.
Yeah, well, it'd be good, get it out there, any way we can, keep getting the word out that we'll look for people, I will.
Just so we're staying in the transfer station, is there any more clarity on addressing, the construction of a new toilet?
Yeah, so I've been working, last week I worked on that quite a bit. So right now I'm waiting for the electrician to submit his quote. I'm waiting for the plumber to submit his quote. I got a quote for the building. I wanted to use a shed that we had, but it's not gonna give us the accessibility that we need for accessibility to meet that. So we're gonna have to buy another building. So I got a quote on that. So I'm just waiting for all the quotes to come together. And I got a quote on an independent trailer, which we could just set it up, plug it in, and we're good to go.
Right.
If you ask me, I think they're gonna be very close in numbers, but I plan on putting my package together with both options. Option one being the building, option two being the trailer setup. And once I get all my paperwork in, I'll hand it to the administrator and he can let me know.
it's such a shame that we had asked for enough funding to include
Yeah,
a
yeah,
toilet
no, yeah,
originally, and
Yeah.
sort of,
yeah.
it ends up being more expensive to retrofit,
So we would go with we already got the quote on the tight tank, and we're not gonna go with a well, we're gonna go with a water storage tank, with a pump and all of that, and, I'm waiting, that's one of the quotes I'm waiting for from, is that, the water storage tank, the pump, but, once we get all those, hopefully by the end of the week.
Okay.
Before you move on, I know you had a couple of other things you want to talk about. I'll just mention, Matt asked me to be on a call Friday because he was out of the office, with various state agencies. There has been a confirmed, highly pathogenic avian influenza outbreak in a flock somewhere in Bristol County. They are notifying, all flock owners that they're aware of through the barn books, within I think a 10-kilometer radius of that. It's just a reminder for folks, especially those who have backyard flocks, to do appropriate biosecurity to keep the flocks from getting, it's wild shorebirds, they're generally the carriers. So
So it's
anyways,
through a flock of chickens?
I think it was a mixed flock, I'm not sure. They talked that it included other guinea fowl and other birds as well, and they were gonna have to
Okay.
depopulate.
And do we
or
know
kill.
where in Bristol County that this happened?
They are not releasing that publicly, it's just Bristol County that they'll say. But the entire flock had to be put down or killed. Depopulated was the word they used.
And what was it was the avian flu? Or what?
Highly pathogenic avian influenza, HPAI.
So is the Agricultural Commission like plugged into this?
Yes, Mike Cahill was on the
Oh,
call,
okay.
and they're taking the lead with notifying
Okay, great,
nearby flock owners.
okay.
Did you mean AdCom or did you mean MDR?
No, I meant
Oh,
AgCom here, yeah. Because I don't think, how do I say it? I don't think we necessarily assume that everyone who has chickens is in the barn book.
Right.
But there are people on the Ag Commission who would know, may know through just personal information so.
Send an
I just
email.
wouldn't leave it to MDR, I guess, is what I would say. They probably know, Ray probably knows, but I would just,
We don't know the exact location, but.
no, I know, we
Wise.
don't, right, no, I'm just saying, just to
Right.
pass on that information, or just check in with Ray to see that he knows about it, and,
Will we post that on our website?
We're waiting for the official press release from the state.
And once we get that, we'll post a press release
yeah.
or a link to it.
They had to, it's a very elaborate protocol. They test locally, then they send it to the USDA lab, and they got information
Right.
Thursday night, so they had this call Friday morning. But then they have to process the message. So anyways, just wanted to let folks know. Okay.
Okay, so, transfer station, things are running well. We got the new sign up. If you haven't seen it, take a ride by and see it. It's a nice sign. Got some new signage in front of some of the dumpsters down there that clearly indicate what dumpsters open and what's closed and what needs to go in there. And so it's clearly marked. It's hard to miss. I walked the site with DEP, a representative from DEP last week, to discuss increasing our ways to get more RDP points. And, if we get more points, it equals more money that we get on that grant funds every year from DEP. So we identified, 2 or 3 different ways where we can increase our points. And
These are all ways to increase recycling.
What's that?
These are all ways to increase recycling.
All ways to increase recycling, yes. So we're, I think officially it's called the Recycling Dividends Program. And so we're working on it. We get some good ideas. Some of them were already there. We just got to kind of button it up. And we'll keep working at it. We applied and were awarded a $5,000 micro grant from DEP for the recycling reuse program. So we're going to use that to enhance the bicycling recycling program. Maybe buy a small shed to put some of the bikes in with some bike racks, get them away from the active dumpsters that they're near now. Just kind of make it a nice little area, and just enhance the program.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's great, Matt.
Okay. Oh, did I mention that? I did mention that. Okay, we're good.
Okay, any other questions for Matt? If not, we'll move on to the minutes. We have the August 15th special meeting minutes, which this was the public hearing for the proposed consolidated septic regulations, have a Westport local septic regulation. Any questions or concerns about that? Otherwise,
I
I'll
didn't have any.
Need it.
take a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the minutes from August 15th, 2022, and the minutes from August 22nd, 2022.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of August 15th and August 22nd. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous, thank you. We're on a roll about approving things. So under other business, we have we're bringing back the Westport local septic system regulation that you just heard us. We had a public hearing on August 15th. We subsequently discussed this and made some minor changes based on feedback from the public at the hearing and from written commentary and from discussion amongst us. I did have one, so you have the final version that's being proposed. I did have one minor change that Nancy asked for, which was just to be consistent with the procedure for deed notice, that it should be, the proof of recording shall be provided to the Board of Health prior to installation, but in no case later than the request for a certificate of compliance. And that's to make sure that that's consistent with our process, and because some of the IA approval letters specify at installation and some at certificate of compliance. We don't want to we can't be less strict. So it just said originally certificate of compliance. So that's the only change from the draft we discussed at the last meeting. So I would entertain a motion to adopt the Westport local septic system regulation based on the slightly amended based on the feedback we've received, and to be effective October 1st is the proposed effective date.
So moved.
I'll second that motion. Motion has been made and seconded to adopt the Westport local septic system regulation.
So before you say all in favor,
Yep.
I just want to say something.
Sure.
Yes.
I'm sorry? October 1st. Yes, sir.
So, I've expressed previously, that I thought that only that provision relating to expanding the requirement for nitrogen-reducing systems for new construction, that I was having, difficulty seeing the tangibility now of the benefits of doing that. I don't think that a really strong case has been made on the, in that regard. But I've been thinking a lot about it, as well. And to me, it seems that the arguments in favor of it kind of have to recognize the longevity of these systems and the fact that whatever gets installed will be there for decades, multiple decades. And that there have been many times in the course of environmental protection history when lost opportunities have happened, when we look back and wish we had done something previously, but chose not to take the opportunity to do it. So, but I also kind of recognize, as it's a matter before us today, that that there are going to be impacts on individuals which are going to be very difficult, and I wish the impacts were more, or the benefits were more tangible, at least to me. But in any event, I think that in consideration of the longevity of the systems and the possibilities that going forward in the future, we will look back and say, on balance, that it made sense to expand the protection. I'd be prepared to vote.
Thank you, I appreciate that, and I think in the larger context of where DEP is going, showing this proactive step would be helpful to us to avoid a more challenging requirement, which is part of the proposal from DEP, requiring every system be upgraded within 5 years to D-Night, so.
Right.
And-
That-
And I want to say thank you for your thoughtfulness, Phil, on it, that you've been thinking about it, and I certainly have been as well.
Okay, so.
And also, I like everything else in the regulation, so I don't want to vote against the regulation just because of one thing, even though it is, you know, the most significant change.
Okay, so I will call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous, thank you. And then in tandem with that, we would need to rescind the following regulations as of October 1st. The building renovation regulation adopted 9/22/2003. The percolation rate regulation adopted 4/12/2004. The septic system location regulation adopted 12/30/2005. The septic system maintenance regulation adopted originally March 1, 2004. The septic system water resource protection regulation adopted February 1st, 2021. The surface water protection regulation adopted March 1st, 2002. And the well setback variance regulation adopted originally on February 1, 2005. These would all be rescinded because they're incorporated into the new regulation, which we are adopting as of October 1st. So, I'm gonna take a motion.
Did you say surface water protection too?
Yes,
Okay, so moved.
Second.
motion has been made and seconded to rescind the 7 regulations listed in the motion as of October 1st. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna switch up and continue with the other business items after our appointments. Our first appointment is at 4:30, a variance request from the septic regulation, existing still until October 1st. Eric Crowell, is that you? Feel free to come to the table, or,
Sit over here, otherwise, because you don't have a mask. Oh, you have a mask and I don't, so I'll sit over here.
That's all right.
Better safe than sorry.
we have received your written request for a variance from the D-Night or alternative septic system requirement for new construction proposed at a house you're planning to build on Bluestone Avenue. I'm gonna open the floor to you to tell us why you think you need a variance.
Well, after speaking to my engineer, Carl, at AET, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but we are on the edge of the water shield, or is it the
Watershed.
Watershed.
Watershed. We are on the edge, and where my septic design is going to be, it actually goes, the leaching field actually heads towards Dartmouth. He feels that, you know, being the only house, especially around the whole entire area, would have this new system, he feels it was a good opportunity for me to come here to see if I can be with the old system that everyone else has, because the development did start in '87, they did build 2 homes. And again, at the end of the day, if this was if this was like a brand new development and there's like 10 houses being built, I totally understand and I wouldn't even bother being here. But being me the only guy, especially being on the edge of the, you know, the water area, facing down towards Dartmouth, there's 2 new houses being built behind me actually in Dartmouth, and they don't have the newer systems. And talking to Carl and the way it's gonna be engineered, we're gonna do a crushed stone bed, a couple of things. He feels that, you know, it'd be worth a chance to at least come here. And I don't know if you read what I emailed you guys. I'm in a situation where, you know, when we were designing this house a couple months ago, we didn't factor in the extra $15,000-$20,000 cost because we didn't think about the new system. We didn't factor in the, you know, the extra $30 a month because of, obviously it's gonna cost. And then it's like a $300-400 maintenance per year. With medical constantly going through the roof, everything else that's going on, it just, you know, we sold our house 2-level because my daughter's stroke, we couldn't no longer do the stairs, to build a 1-level to give her a better life. But we didn't factor in this because at the time we didn't think it was an issue. And then when my engineer brought it up, I was like, I just didn't think about it, because we literally, I have the old style septic at my house, and I didn't think about it. So after talking to him and everything else, we figured that, you know, since where we're at, and since we are on the edge, and it will be facing Dartmouth, if it would be, you know, approved for me to go with the old one.
So a variance requires a documentation of what we call manifest injustice, and that strict enforcement would be manifestly unjust, and the variance is not inconsistent with the intent or purpose of Title V, and that the alternative you're proposing will result in equal or greater environmental protection. This doesn't, what you're proposing doesn't provide equal or greater protection than what the regulation requires. So we would be looking at the manifest injustice provision. And I'm going to, you know, there's 2 factors there. I think you're making a case, a financial case and an environmental case. And this is the first time we've had a variance under this regulation, or the current iteration of this regulation, for this kind of purpose. Every other new construction that's been approved since February 1st of 2021 has had a D-Night system installed.
No, and I understand, and like, I don't know if you've ever seen, you go down this road and you have a cul-de-sac, literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm surrounded by all old tanks, like they're all old. I'm the only guy in the middle who's gonna have the new system, and I won't be benefiting anybody.
Well, hopefully you'll be benefiting the environment and your well.
Well, I mean, I understand, but I mean, I'm literally, like I said, if I wasn't surrounded and if it was new construction where it was like a new development or something, I wouldn't even be bothering, because obviously we all have to do it. But since I'm the only guy left from 87, it's the last lot and I'm surrounded. Like, I can literally, when I look at my property, I see everyone's well and I see everyone's septic. So I'm literally the guy in the middle. Other words, I wouldn't ask.
Thank you. I will open it up to board members for their questions or comments.
Well, I wanted to focus a little bit on the financial part of it. And I don't want to put you in a position to talk about confidential financial piece of it. So I think one way, you know, so there are some criteria that we use for giving loans for systems, and I'm not quite sure whether the statute now allows it for this or not. But
I think it might.
I think it might. And so, and one is whether or not your income is greater than $85,000 a year. So when people are applying for loans for this, in order to keep that information confidential, we just ask them to submit income tax returns. Which would mean if you weren't comfortable in talking about that, but could be a part of a solution, because I don't really know how you're financing your new home and the costs of that, you know, whether you're taking out a loan you know, are doing it, you know, out of savings or the proceeds from the sale of the other house. So,
It's a little bit of both. It was just the extra.
yeah,
It's like another $15,000 to $20,000 on top of what I was originally quoted.
right. So one possibility is if you were in that category and so we have a program now, and I think there's still money in it, where you could do a 1% loan from the town, which becomes a betterment in your, you know, as part of your taxes. So, and the interest rate is only 1%. So if you were eligible for that, and then also the state provides a tax credit of $15,000 a year for 4 years, or $6,000 directly off your taxes for installing one of these systems.
Mhm.
So
Is tax credit, I want to be cautious.
I think it's a tax credit.
There is a tax credit, because
Or do you do it, or do you just do
but
it
it's based on repairing a failed system.
on a?
Failed system, you know.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm just wondering whether or not it's, oh, you mean the credit language
The
itself?
credit itself,
Okay,
I think. So I
okay.
don't wanna
I just thought it was,
promise.
I just thought if you did it under the,
Oh,
I'm just wondering whether because it was under the,
That's, yeah, I think that's just
Yeah.
what a revolving loan.
Well, it wasn't so much just the shock of the $15,000 to $20,000 difference. It's
Right.
also from talking to other people, to run it, it's like $30-40 a month to run
yeah,
it.
yeah,
It's full
yeah,
time. Then there's like
Right,
a $300
right,
a year
right.
maintenance.
right,
So
right, yeah,
those all factors add up, because that's another
Right.
$1,000 that I could be
Right.
putting towards
Right.
medical, everything
Right.
else.
right, yeah,
The electric costs do depend on the system that you,
That is
type of
correct.
style you install.
yeah.
But yes, there is a maintenance. So that's.
I mean, I know there's a law about it, I understand. I was just trying to hope that we could
Yeah,
make
well,
one.
yeah, yeah,
Well, because you are setting a precedent, we have to establish a standard that, because otherwise everybody will say, well, you gave this guy a waiver. So I think what you're saying is that you're not really trying to, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm not sure that you're wanting to go down the financial hardship route.
Yeah, and like I was saying before, I mean, there was one lot I was looking at, it was a new development with 10 homes. So at that point, I already knew there was 10 homes, and I understand. If a system fails, then I already know you'd have to go to a new system. Again, I already understand all this, but the reason why this one exception, why I was talking to Carl, the engineer, is because this is the last one, and I am surrounded by old systems.
Which would probably have to be upgraded at some point to
I mean, eventually, if they all fail, I mean, they're gonna have to upgrade, and then obviously in 5-6 years or 10 years, if mine fails, obviously I'd have to upgrade. So, I mean, at just one point, if I could just be normal with everyone around my, little bubble, it would be, nice. And like I said, I mean, if this was, like I stressed before, new development or something like that, I wouldn't bother even asking, because there'd be more people doing the same system as me, and we'd all be benefiting it all at once. But since I am surrounded, and I'm right on the edge of the water shield, I just figured,
it's absolutely worth coming in. I think what you're saying is you're trying to make an environmental argument that, not a financial argument, I think. And
and
so.
well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, it's a huge burden on one end, but I mean, it's,
Well, I think if you want to pursue the financial argument, I think what Phil is suggesting, that if you provide some documentation of your income, that it's a financial hardship, that we could take that into account. In terms of the environmental arguments, I don't know if the board is persuaded. I'm not personally. It's sort of, we drew a line in the sand saying, going forward, we have to make the notion of new construction is you're adding to the existing problem. because you're adding septic flow that didn't exist before, because the lot is not developed. And so we want to minimize the additional burden on the environmental landscape with new construction by requiring a D-night system. So we started, you know, as I said last year. The fact that you have properties around you that have older systems that are not as effective in reducing the nitrogen, it, to me, makes the argument even more. We want to keep the neighborhood from getting worse with additional flow, and so try to minimize the impact. So that's my personal opinion, but
I agree with that. I mean, I live in a neighborhood with all kinds of older systems, and they're new construction, and they're all putting in D-night systems. And, you know, I feel, I certainly appreciate the personal circumstances you're under with your daughter Ariana. But we do have to stay with our standard. And I, you know, I feel the same, that it doesn't matter which direction the flow is going. If it's going into Dartmouth, it still is going to impact on the environment. So that's not a, doesn't sound like a reasonable environmental argument.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the, I think if, so there are two things. I think generally, you know, we've heard the argument in the past where people have come in and, you know, said my lot, you know, was created on X date before your regulation, and it's really not fair to do that. And generally, public health and environmental regulations, you know, just don't really take that into account. As if, you know, there was a new fire code and you were required, you know, to put in a whole different alarm system than people who were in your neighborhood or in the development. I don't think that the argument would be, well, other people don't have it, so why should I do it? And so I think that there's this, so if we gave that argument to you as a basis to give the variance, then it would be like, well, there are 3 houses, no, there are 5 houses. You know, what, how do we make that decision? So I think that's why the standard is what the, you know, what the standard is. I think if you were, I mean, I might, so that's why I think if what we would be able to offer you, depending on what your financial situation was a way that you wouldn't have to absorb at least the capital cost, because it wouldn't be just for the entire, it wouldn't just be for the additional cost of the system. It's possible that you could get a loan for the entire system at a lower rate than you, and you'd be able to pay it out over time.
Okay.
it's a 20.
So that's a possibility. And, you know, Matt could follow up with you on, you know, if you wanted to look into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's gonna be my only option now.
Yeah, so I think that'd be worth, and we can just continue, well, so we could just continue this tonight, and you could look into that, and then, based on how that looked, could kind of, you know, decide what we want to do.
Okay. We have the information on
We-
our website, but you certainly can,
We have your email, so I'll have the administrator of the program, which is Nelia, send you the packet. You can review it, and an application will accompany it, and you can decide what you want to do.
Sounds good.
All right,
thank you for coming in, I
Thank you.
appreciate it. and,
thanks a lot.
Good luck with your family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
4:40 PM hearing. This is a Title V variance. Mark Roberts representing David Borges at 868 Sanford Road. This is a 3-bedroom repair with a stone bed and a single-air TNT 500 on a 27,766 square foot lot. And Mr. Roberts is not able to attend, I understand from that, correct?
Okay, so, I looked into the file for this address, and it has an application from 1965 that shows it was built back then for a 3-bedroom. The new plans show 3-bedroom, but they also show a proposed structure on the plan, which we don't have any building plans for yet. So I can't say for sure if that's a garage, maybe it's a garage with room upstairs, I don't know, really. So otherwise, I think the plan looks fine for the 3-bedroom, and I don't see why that couldn't be approved based on the plans that were submitted with the upgrade approval that is requesting for the reduction in the pipe. The only thing I can say is if building plans do come across and we see that there's an additional bedroom or something, we wouldn't be able to approve it because this will have a deed restriction on it. And it just, unless they wanted to decommission something in the house and move it over to the other side, I mean, there would be options, but until the plans come in, I really can't say for sure.
I had raised a question because the assessor's record says 2 bedrooms, but this was originally apparently designed as 3 bedrooms. It's staying as 3 bedrooms. I don't have any other questions or concerns about the plan. It would just require that variance approval and a 3-bedroom deed restriction, unless other people have questions for me. Questions?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, my
So-
only question was about the slab and what was happening.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve this project with the LUA and the deed restriction. Maybe I want to do that.
Okay, I move that we approve the plans for 868 Sanford Road, owned by David Borges, dated August 30th, 2022, with the variance reduction requirement separation between the inlet and outlet pipes from the tank to the high groundwater level from 12 inches to 2 inches, with the following conditions: 3-bedroom deed restriction, hold harmless agreement, IA notice with 2 times a year total nitrogen testing, and O&M agreement.
And pending Concom.
Oh, and Concom.
Sorry, I missed that. Motion made.
Second?
Seconded. All in favor for approving the project for 868 Sanford Road with those conditions? Aye, that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we just have a couple.
Well, can I go back to the, which I made a mental note of it because I didn't write it down, I didn't remember, but for the septic system regulation, when we adopted the original regulation, we established an effective date that was out, I think it was 60 days, but I don't remember, in order to allow for plans that were in the works, so to speak, not to be disrupted, right? And then I was noticing on this, that the effective date as it was approved, was, like, 2 weeks from now, more or less, October 1st. And I just wanted to, kind of raise that issue, just because also I don't think there's been a lot of publicity about this. And I don't know if plans have, come in, but I thought the original idea was people who had planned and, submitted that we would consider. We did this before, so I'm just raising it as to whether or not we want to defer the effective date until some point in the future. And I'm not saying it has to be 60 days, but maybe it should be something.
Thank you for your feedback. I hadn't really thought about that. My response would be that the hearing was over a month ago, so there's been a fair amount of time for people to submit plans in those affected areas, but there's so little, there's not a lot of area affected by this, and we haven't had a lot of plan submissions, so it seemed like a very quiet time. But Phil has put that on the table, and we could.
I think the engineers have been well informed about, I mean, I'm assuming.
They were all notified.
I mean, they've been notified, and it's the engineers who are communicating to the clients who are gonna be building homes. They have a certain amount of, or they have responsibility for letting the clients know what to anticipate with these kinds of systems, so.
Yeah, okay, I mean, I don't feel that strongly about it. I just,
No,
I'm just trying to reduce the surprise factor for us in a way, because the argument, I think your argument could also cut the other way, which is what's the harm in giving a little more time if the likelihood of the plan coming in. I just don't want someone to come in and say, I just closed on this house, and yeah, I didn't have a plan, but I closed on this house, and here's what I budgeted, like this person
Right.
did, and now, and this happened, that's all.
How much time are you thinking, Phil?
Well, I'd give it a month, I guess.
How about October 15th then?
Sure.
Okay.
Is that where we are now? October
19th, we're at the 19th.
Yeah.
Okay.
October
I
20th
would
or
then
something?
take a motion to amend our two previous motions to change the date to October 15th.
I so moved.
So that's to
Second.
rescind, the rescission date would be October 15th for the 7 regulations, and the effective date for the Westport local septic regulation would be October 15th.
Okay.
Okay.
And I just ask Matt, because I know he has contact with, folks from the, real estate broker industry.
Yeah.
And just to let her know, we adopted this now, and this is new, because it's more what people think, what to expect going into a sale.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try to summarize the major changes and,
Yeah.
and blast it out to all the
Right.
realtors that we have emails for.
Right,
And,
right.
and so,
Right, where someone's in the middle of a plan for, putting a new bedroom in or something, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden, that bedroom
Right.
is costing an extra $15,000.
Oh, in new
Because it's new construction. I mean, there's a lot of, there's, okay, just saying that,
No, I appreciate that. I just want to make sure we have the vote, because we
Yeah,
Yeah.
made the motion and seconded. I call the vote. All in favor?
I,
Aye. So that's to amend the start date to October 15th. Great, thank you.
Was that the, Article 2?
Article 2, you mean the other business? So it's both of,
It's listed, do you have the agenda?
No, I have the agenda, and point number 2 talks about rescinding regulations. Does
Yeah.
that change from the 1st to the 15th or something?
Yes,
Right,
yes.
okay.
yeah, right, yeah,
Yeah,
subject rate, yeah.
we amended both motions, so they're consistent, October 15th. Thank you. Okay, so returning to agenda, under other business, we have item number 3, transfer stations fee increases for certain bulky items. And I'm gonna turn it over to Matt for an explanation of what's going on there.
so a lot of these bulky items, we had a slight cost increase. The dumpster fills up very fast because they're very bulky when it comes to couches, chairs, sleep sofa sectionals, etc. They don't come in cut up or busted into little pieces, and we can only crush them down so far. In order to keep, the cost from overrunning us, I'm requesting that we just go up on those highlighted items on the sheet, which would be sofas and love seats going from $30 to $40 each. Recliners and big chairs going from $20 to $30 each, and sleep sofas and sectionals going from $40 to $50 per item.
Any questions, comments, concerns?
No, I mean, I think if it's necessary for the economics of the transfer station, then we should go ahead and do it.
Yeah, it's just all about that, basically. We're just trying to keep up with the costs.
Yeah.
So I would take a motion to amend the fees that Matt enumerated, and what would we like for an effective date?
October 15th?
Okay, so it is. Motion would be in order.
Okay, so I move that we approve the increase in transfer station fees for the sofa love seats from $30 to $40, chair or recliner from $20 to $30, and sleep sofa or sectional from $40 to $50 per item, effective October 15th.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to adopt these new fees as enumerated, effective October 15th. All in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
I think I had a couch picked up from ABC. I think it was $50 for them to pick it up.
Okay, next agenda item was to schedule the working meeting and topic. We batted this around at some other, policy discussions that we wanted to get back into now that we've finished the septic regulation. Some of the, I think top of mind is the developing an outreach plan around cesspool upgrades. We know we've been seeing them come in on a pretty regular basis for upgrades. And cesspools, just for people, for clarification, came up at the hearing, and I know people have asked me, the regulation just requires to meet Title V unless there are maximum feasible compliance issues, contaminated well, for instance, in which case we may require D-night, but it's not an automatic increase to a D-night system. But it is with a little more than 3 years away, the deadline. So that's one topic that I know we could spend some time talking about, and I know Phil and has been working with John on really identifying all those properties. Another, I know that, and I forwarded you both the follow-up information from the well protection seminar. So developing a local well regulation, especially considering that Westport is almost all entirely wells, and we have been having some wells contaminated with nitrates as well as PFAS and other chemicals. So that's a topic for discussion, and there may be others that folks want to put forth. People ready to have a working meeting sometime in I guess in October.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
So our next regular meeting is
The 3rd.
October 3rd, so it's the off week, and October is the holiday week, which means probably Tuesday you have a Concom meeting, is that correct?
Let's
The
see.
11th, October 11th?
Yeah, so we're gonna I guess we're gonna have a meeting next week, and that. So if we're not meeting, then I'm meeting that week.
Okay.
That's the general.
So Tuesday
Yeah.
evening or afternoon is not good.
I mean, it depends when it is. We could do it we did in the afternoon.
Sure.
The Concom meeting's not till 7.
Okay, oh, 7, okay. So the week of the October 11th, are people open to a meeting? Could be in the morning.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna be out of town.
Oh, that entire week?
Well, I'm gonna be out of town Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm
Okay.
back for Thursday.
Are you feeling, I mean, that, I don't wanna, if you've got too much on the agenda.
No, I mean, I'll be back on, I don't know if I was gonna come back on Thursday morning or Wednesday night.
How about Friday the 14th? Is that a possibility? Gives you a day to recover.
It would be okay in the morning because I'm working, that evening from 3 to 11:30, so.
Is that a-
I think that should be okay.
Okay, we'll
think that-
tentatively schedule for October 14th, let's say 10 a.m. And, any, I'm suggesting this discussion of a cesspool outreach education strategy being the primary topic.
Mhm.
Is that, are there anything else that we wanna tackle at that point? We certainly have many things we can talk about.
Okay.
So we're gonna call it cesspool outreach strategy?
Sure. And of course, if sometimes miscellaneous things come up that we can get added to the agenda, can't wait till the next meeting, which would be the following Monday, so seems unlikely. Any other topics people wanna?
We have time to think about it, right?
Okay,
So-
yes, we do. So just communicate with Matt if there's something else you wanna include, but I think it's probably better focusing on one major topic. And then, maybe we can just have a brief discussion about priorities for the next, other projects that we wanna work on. Okay, and then moving on to board member updates.
Well, Team Cow is Saturday,
Okay.
and as people may have noticed, there is a banner over Main Road to announce that will be, so far, we have about 100 people that have signed up. So that's wonderful. So if people want to participate, they can contact us, or they can show up that morning and we can add them. And then if people want to just be in their neighborhoods and decide to clean, we like that as well. So, but yeah, we're ready to go.
Great, thank you.
Do they do individual houses too?
I'll have to discuss that with the head bull.
All right, any,
It was actually just a piece of information I came across out of the select board created an infrastructure committee, and I got an email about the various topics on it, and a number of them were the different sewer extension plans of it. But the other thing was that the town had been given a grant, and I think it probably went, to the emergency response to update the town's emergency response plan. And that's something that we had talked about and is a need for. So now I think that there is going to be money in place to hire a consultant to work on that. So I imagine that there's going to be, like a team put together, and, that, Matt or, and or maybe the person who becomes, the coordinator under the multiple community grant could be working on that as well. So I think that was a good thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, and I also just wanted to point out the article in the Shorelines, the health notes focused on gun violence that I wrote, and to highlight the fact that September is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And the 988 number that people can call if there's any kind of psychiatric or substance abuse emergency. They've had, the 988 line has had an increased 45% since they've been enacted from the call center that was in place before. So it's working. Now they need to find more people to be available to man the phones and help. So, but you know, I just wanted to point that out, that it is Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and that gun violence is something that is a public health concern, and because more people do harm themselves with guns than homicides. So.
Yeah, just a reminder, if you prompted me that we're moving forward with the Excellence Grant, and the town has signed off, and now they're starting outreach to the other communities, so we'll keep you posted on that. And I think that's it. So, a motion to.
I move that we adjourn, excuse me, this meeting at 5:12 p.m.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,